Hi, I'm Kevin Hogan, and I'm auditioning for the part of Bob Weir. Right. At least I'm enjoying. I'm enjoying the ride. Right. At least I'm enjoying the ride.
Three, two, one. All right, everybody, we're going to play our favorite game. Take a step back. I'm going to count to three, and everybody's going to take a step back. 1, 2, 3. Take a step back. 1, 2, 3. Take a step back.
Hello, my name is Famer Time, and I am here to try out an audition for the part of Brent Midland. Dear Mr. Fantasy, play us a tune, something that'll make us all happy. Do what you want to take us out of this gloom. Sing a song, play guitar, make it snappy.
wook+live. Welcome back to wook+live. Hey guys, how you doing?
Fam's a better Brent than Brent was, I think.
Dude, I mean, it was a little painful editing Kevin's bit. The screams were tough, but it was worth it just to get to see Fam do that. Here, check this out. Is that not spot on?
Dead on.
Hilarious.
So good.
Oh my god.
Thank you, fellas. Thank you. I appreciate that. I worked hard on that, Brent. And that is in all loving tribute, as all of us and everyone should be a Brent lover. Brent is amazing. And so, I just rest in peace, Brent. We love you.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, it was never the same for me without him.
Mm.
That was the Grateful Dead to me. Was Brent, that 6-piece.
Before we go down a conversation path, I like having the conversation up front, but I'm really excited about today's guest, and I want to have him be part of these conversations. So, ladies and gentlemen, our guest tonight is Mr. Slade. What's up, Slade?
Hey, what's up, gents? How you doing?
What's up, buddy?
I will say, I thought the Brent was an A. It would have been an A+ if it didn't come across a little bit like Adam Sandler doing. I think
fair. Yeah, it did cross a line of parody probably at some point, right?
But if you had introduced it that way, I'm auditioning for the part of Adam Sandler, auditioning for the part of Brent Midland.
Right.
Then perfect.
That would have been the trick. And I don't, as much as you guys love it, I'm not sure Marty is going to be calling me anytime for this actual Scorsese biopic. I'm sure he's got many choices before me, at least.
Yeah, but you'll be in the wook+ version of it, our biopic of the dead. So don't worry.
Yeah.
We're gonna try to pull off a biopic the same time as Scorsese.
Definitely. And after Get Back, and we'll have all the memes that Peter Jackson did to really do something so much better.
And if Scorsese takes the time that he edited The Last Waltz in, you guys have a couple of years to get yours out before him.
We got to get a GoFundMe going, like
By
decades
Scorsese. We'll have it done by decade's end.
Exactly. We work on Wook time for sure, so that makes sense. So apparently, Marty and us, we got a lot of in common for sure. Well, we're so glad to have you, brother. Again, it's an honor for me. It's been, we've had a long time friendship from afar, and I've just absolutely just, again, been inspired by you and what you do. Editor-in-chief of the Recount, right? I mean, we're taking it all the way back to Hidden Track. I know, Tim, you've got some good notes there too as well. So I don't want to jump the party here, but I'm a big Slade lover.
No, I think it's good to get the history out there, right? Like kind of set the tone for everything. It was serendipitous, but having Scotty B on, what was that, last week, and then kind of talking about his origin and starting with you. How did you meet Scotty? Because you asked him to join you at the Hidden Track, right?
That's right. So the Glide magazine guys asked me to do a blog. This was back when doing a blog was this new thing. So they were Glide magazine, but they wanted a blog. I was in a private fish message board called Groovy Zone, which sounds ridiculous when you say it out loud.
Sounds groovy.
Ace Cowboy over here.
Ace Cowboy was the name that we gave Bob Weir, Bob Weir had the Ace album, and he was always, singing
Bobby Ace Weir. Yeah, that's what.
So, Ace Cowboy, Bob Orton was the WWF wrestler back in the day. We used to say Ace Cowboy, Bob Weir, and then I just kind of stole that. And I had the photo of Weir with the middle finger.
Right. Classic.
Yeah. So Slade, that's the minute I heard him say that, I thought it was so funny because I was like, that's a perfect nickname for my guy. So amazing.
That's right. So it was great. Yeah, Scotty was posting this awesome stuff. He had great insights. He's a human encyclopedia. And I always, in my life and in my career and in my side projects, always say, find the best people you possibly can and bring them in somehow. You five seem to have either not done that, or I don't know what happened there.
Tim has a different philosophy a little bit.
Yeah,
I tried that and it didn't work, so I just settled, basically.
Right. You just grabbed four guys off the street. But seriously,
we auditioned for this, Slade. We auditioned, buddy.
Exactly. No, but the way that you five have come together is a very similar thing. Find people who you could trust, you could lean on, who are always going to be there for you, and who are knowledgeable and smart about the topic at hand. So I was like, hey, Scotty, can you help out? And I actually watched that little segment with him, and he said, I asked him to do one post a week or something, and then by the end of the first year, he was doing 3 a day. He was doing 3 a day by the end of the first week. He was all in.
I got that
dropping Scotty B-isms all over the place. And I welcome
that
it,
guy.
wholeheartedly. He's a great guy. And those were some of the most fun years of my life. Never made a dime off that, but got into a lot of fun shows around this.
Is this all archived somewhere? Can people actually go check that out? Our international
That's a great
audience?
question. I imagine it's all in the Wayback Machine, on archive.org. But it was great. I mean, for a few years, we were legitimately doing, great reviews, introducing people to stuff.
What time frame was this? When about was this when you had Hidden Track?
Probably 06 or 07 to 2010 was when I bowed out, and then Scotty ran it for a bit with Davo. I don't know if you know Davo over at Jam Base or wherever he is now. Then they ran it for a couple of years, I think, and then Jam Base came calling, which was pretty cool. It's always psyched to see people rise. Good-hearted people rise.
Yeah, agreed.
Like you have, buddy, right? Again, I know.
I said good people.
So I was just flipping through. I was like, man, my guy, he's been on Daily Beast just recently. It makes sense he would make that kind of lateral move to wook+.
Yeah, a slight step up, I would say, but
yeah, so it makes a lot of sense. And again, we just appreciate you being with us. So tell us about what it's like to run, because the Recount, and if people don't know, please, if you get your news, if you get your sports news, culture news, business news, other places, I'm going to ask you to reconsider and go to the Recount, where they're doing good work and it looks good. It's presented well. Like, so tell us how you ended up at the Recount and now editor-in-chief of this incredible news site.
Yeah, well, that was a better endorsement of the Recount than I've given anybody in my
It's so good though.
3 years
on fire.
Truly. You know, you and my mom should go take this act on the road and
Let's do it. We'll be watching musicals and pumping out.
I love that about you, fam.
My Midwestern teacher friend and my Jewish mom, both actually 4th grade teachers. Are you 4th grade? What was it?
I just changed to 6th, but that's perfect. Yes.
All right.
I think 4th grade. Yes.
Yeah. So it would have been 2 4th grade teachers on the road talking about the Recount. So the Recount was started up in early 2019 by a guy, John Heilman, who's on MSNBC all the time, and a guy, John Battelle, who was a co-founding editor at Wired.
Also, is John Heilman the one who got in trouble, or was it his partner?
No, he's the other one.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember them from MSNBC. They did a show, and the one guy had like a W, the Wu-Tang Clan, on his computer.
That's my boss, John.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, I did not take the job until I had a conversation with John about the relationship of these two guys, because that other guy is, that's a story for another time.
Right.
But you know, I worked in media for like 16, 17 years, maybe even 18. I don't know what age I am at this point. And then I managed to get out and went to work for a guy who was doing a cool company that was like trying to do social good. And I finally got out of media and I was like, I hate this business. You know, everything sucks all the time. I don't sleep. And then these two Johns came calling, which not the first time I said that. But you know, these two Johns came knocking on my door and they said, hey, we got your name from so-and-so. You know, we're building a company that essentially does the news. We're going to start with this aggregated, version of it where we're going to tell people what happened today from this kind of panopticon of like that you see in Batman Begins or whichever one that was, where they could see everything happening in Gotham City. We're going to like get every feed in the world, and then we're going to tell people what's important. And it's something, you know, I've been like an aggregator / storyteller, news giver on the internet for a long time. And it sounded like a great gig, and I jumped at the opportunity.
Is there a point of view though? Are you a gatekeeper to all this information? How does that work?
Yes and no. I mean, ultimately, the entire news media is a gatekeeper.
Sure.
Right. So you gotta pick and choose your heroes and villains. What we like to do is say that like we are no bullshit. So we like to call out bullshit. Now, there is one party in this country that is entirely made of bullshit, and then there's another party in this country that like. Is corporateers and,
dabs and bullshit.
Yeah, dabs and bullshit. That's exactly the wording.
Tinkers and bullshit. It's a hobby.
Yeah, wades in the bullshit waters.
Right.
So we'll call bullshit where we see it. It just so happens that the preponderance of it and mostly the power of it, especially for our first year, all relies.
It's piled higher and deeper on one side of the fence.
Exactly. So our slant is pretty obvious, even while we try and say like, hey, we're just calling bullshit. Like, you take one look at it and you're like, oh, these liberal pieces of shit. Maybe not you guys, but certainly some folks in
somebody somewhere, maybe.
Yeah,
sure. And I think like most places, at least as a content absorber of what I'm reading, like I can differentiate very quickly with what you guys do, whether it's a more straightforward news piece of like, hey, I'm just presenting what this is, and then here's more of a little more of an editorial, kind of fun.
Yeah.
This is meant for a social media thing that's honestly leans a little left, in that way. So, like, I think if you are an informed news, taker in, that's not a word at all. But
yeah,
like this
nice teaching.
Yeah, that's what that.
You were
4th grade. That's a 4th grade word. But if you are someone that is able to do that, that's why recount is perfect, right? If that makes sense, because then you feel the slant, but you also get what you also are looking for on the other side of it, right? And for me, the funnest part is the fun, right? And I put it up here. I'm gonna just sneak it back up here again, just real quick, because what I think the recount does a really amazing job is also kind of having fun with the news. And you have an incredible team, a social media team that, you know, and all facets of teams that do a great job of like having fun with the news. And it started, you guys were doing Twitter Spaces when people didn't even know that was a thing, you know, and you were doing it so well. And I know like it was hard and time consuming. And like, I was like, oh my God, I loved it every day. But you call it Twitter Space Forces. So like, and I know Grace has got a new show coming out on Snapchat. Yeah. So like, how did you start to move into more of that social media realm? Because that's where we kind of live too, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know, a big part of that is the fact that like we're all fucking hooked on social media. You know, like I'm on Twitter, you know, 24/7. In fact, if I didn't do this job, I would like really throw my phone into the sea and you know, leave this all behind.
Sure, Slade.
I know. But there was a point where, like, there was a point where I told you I got out of media for a hot second. I did manage to get off Twitter for a hot sec. It was great. It was the best 7 weeks of my life. But you know, the whole thing about it is like, if you're not laughing, you're crying. You know, it's just like, everyone in journalism has gallows humor, or most people in journalism, or people my age and up have like big time gallows humor. You know, you have to kind of laugh through the pain and stuff like that. So, you know, on social media, it's like on Twitter, on Instagram, you know, I keep saying on social media like a, you know, 70-year-old, but like, you know, on Twitter, on Instagram, like you have to lighten the mood a little bit, you know, because it's already at such a fever pitch that like, you know,
people insert a tone onto what they're reading without you doing anything. So you're already on an uphill battle, right? So by adding a little levity to it, you're actually just bringing it back to neutral in that environment in a way.
Most of what you say in real life,
and we're all talking about fish Twitter, right? This has nothing to do with national politics.
Yeah, like, no, totally.
This is our community. It's like it's a hotbit sometimes.
I was actually just explaining toxic fish fandom to. Sorry, stay with me here. So RuPaul's Drag.
Wait, is that a thing? No.
Yeah, right. So RuPaul's Drag Race also has an incredibly toxic fandom. And I was explaining to a bunch of RuPaul's Drag Race people that it's okay. Every fandom is toxic. Take Fish, for example, which could not be further apart from RuPaul's Drag Race. And it's the exact same issues all the time. And it's incredible. I mean, it's just like, if you're online, you're wrong. You know, basically,
right.
Is the
that's what it boils down to.
If you're a fandom, there's definitely always a toxic element to every side of everything, because there's two sides to every story, and especially when it comes down to art, it's so subjective anyway that everybody's got to have an opinion. And now with social media, everyone's able to express those opinions and have somewhat of an audience to shout it out to and get responses from. And
that's right. And everyone's got main character syndrome these days, where everyone is just
reality TV.
The only thing that exists is my story, and you're a part of it. And
this is like the most meta conversation we could possibly have on wook+ here on international TV.
Yeah.
It's true. The depth of knowledge. Boom.
Llama, Llama had the solution, though. I want to address because he had mentioned you have to approach people assuming that they're your friend, and then have them prove that they're not. Because the way everybody approaches each other is with a little sus and a little like, oh, you're my enemy, right? And you almost have to like prove that you're like part of whatever cult or group or whatever, whether it's the left or the right or the fish fans or the RuPaul fans, RuPaul stands. But instead, if we approached each other like we are in this together, and then you lose that, I think it would be a much better place. And this was Llama's idea. I just wanted to summarize it because I thought it was beautiful.
That's a great
Thanks.
point. Absolutely. And so, I mean, maybe that's a good segue. Our guy Llama has been waiting. We're going to get to fish very soon.
But first,
Yeah,
Wait,
but first, we got one more very important topic to
it wouldn't
talk
be
about.
wook+ if it didn't take us 24 minutes to get to fish.
Exactly.
It's a fish channel.
The plus.
That's the plus
Exactly.
part.
Absolutely. So Llama, I know, Tim was mentioning earlier that, Llama is always like pitching yeah, there you go. Pitching Murder, She Wrote skit. We will have a Murder, She Wrote. What you just saw with the Grateful Dead skit, there will be a Murder, She Wrote someday because Llama's going to keep pushing it. So Llama,
I feel like that's what he wanted the Halloween episode to be, and then we totally butchered it and made it something different.
We llamaed the shit out of it and made it not Murder, She
Yeah.
Wrote.
yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah,
let's get
kind
to
of.
Llama's question.
Yeah, let's get to Llama. We'll give the floor to Llama here for Murder, She Wrote talk.
For Murder, She Wrote talk?
All right, when are you gonna ask a
Oh,
question?
sure. Okay, which member of Fish do you think should have replaced Sheriff Andy after he
Ooh,
left?
that's
You
a
stole
that's a
my
good
survivor.
That's a good. I mean, it's probably a different answer, but my answer on that is definitely Paige.
Page.
I definitely
Paige has
think
got
it's
big
Paige.
sheriff vibes.
Why?
Yeah. Well, I think Fishman, who lives in Maine, is too obvious an answer because geographically, Fishman's the right answer.
Right.
He
But,
may already be doing the job, and we just don't know.
right. Yeah. He's
Sheriff Fish.
He
Isn't
likes
he,
donuts.
isn't he on the city council up there? Isn't he a
Yeah, or
selectman?
something. Yeah,
Yeah,
Board of
he is a
Selectmen.
selectman.
It's called the Board
Yeah.
of Selectmen. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Mhm.
So he already has a title, so he can't be the sheriff too. Gordon, I think, is probably too Jewish for Murder, She Wrote. And and Trey is the New Yorker. So Jessica Fletcher went back and forth between Maine and New York City. Trey would
Right.
be a New York City character. And
Trey would be like her nephew that always gets in
yeah,
trouble.
Trey is nephew Grady, the new Grady, and then that leaves Paige. So I think Paige would come in, and he's got a nice new shirt, and
Now,
Like
what's the name of
family.
the actor? What's the name of the actor who plays the character on the show? He's
Which
famous,
one?
isn't he? The
well,
sheriff.
so there's Sheriff Amos, which it was Richie Cunningham. What's his name? Tom Bosley.
Okay, right.
Right. So he left after 4 seasons, and he was replaced by Sheriff Mort Metzger, played by Ron Masak.
What are the odds of meeting two people that know this much about Murder, She
He
Wrote?
knows way more than I do.
I mean, that is impressive.
Tom
We know-
Bosley's who I was thinking, though. Tom Bosley.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
Tom
you see
Bosley
his
did the
face
first
and you're
4
like,
seasons.
Right,
And then-
Happy Days. It's the Happy Days guy.
Yeah, Richie Cunningham, or whatever the dad's name is. Richie.
Mr. C. He was the original
Mr.
Mr. C, I guess.
Yeah. We'll go with Mr. was his first name.
There you go. Well, okay, so let's kind of round it all back, right? Something going back to social media. Something that was a big thing today was big Spotify Rap Day, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
so there's just no way to avoid this on social media. It is everywhere, and so
And
again,
this is the thing where it summarizes how much
What
you listen to
the
what.
most? Right, most listened to song, most listened to artist,
Yeah.
how many minutes you spent on there.
Okay.
Right. So it's Spotify's day to say, hey, we track everything you do.
that's why
We
I've always
collect
thought
data too, but in a fun way.
it literally gives you like an aura. It says your musical aura, your audio aura is energy and
Mine was
vibe.
happy. Mine was
You know-
happy.
Nice.
Yeah, Kev's is happy. That makes sense. He loves The Cure and punk rock music. So
And the
that's-
Smiths.
yeah, exactly. Totally. They're spot on
Wait,
there.
so Slade,
Spotify.
who were your top?
That's a good question. My top artists were Fish was number 1, no surprise there. Sly and the Family Stone was number
Yeah.
2.
I
Nice.
saw that. I was like, right
Oh,
on.
That's
God,
Yeah.
that's so good.
I've
That's
been the pandemic was very good for me and Sly and the Family Stone, for sure.
Well, the Quest. Speaking of docs, the Questlove doc had the Sly and the Family Stone, the Harlem, the show, that I had in New
Oh,
York.
really?
Right, yeah,
Yeah,
there's
it did, yeah, it
slides
did.
on that. Yeah, if you haven't seen that Questlove doc that came out,
I have not seen that. Remind me to watch that. I definitely would like to watch that.
amazing slide performance.
Yeah. My number 3 was Casey Musgraves.
Oh,
So
the
a que-
merry-go-round, right? What would dad smokes Mary Jane or whatever, or Mary next door or something? Isn't that her?
wow, Kev, interesting.
I need to listen to more music. I'm like, once you got out of like the Fish, Grateful Dead, Mo range, I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I'll say this: number 5 is the band.
Okay, I do know that.
That brings it back. But number 4 is a musical called Six, which is a new musical about the 6 wives of Henry VIII.
It's in England, right?
Yeah, it came from England.
Right.
And has been on Broadway. In fact, it was supposed to open on Broadway. It ran 2 weeks of previews and then was supposed to have its big opening night the night that Broadway shut down for the pandemic. So they were supposed to have their big opening night, and then they did nothing for 18 months. So that was very sad. But anyway, these are, if Henry VIII's wives didn't, either get beheaded or divorced or whatever.
It's a great premise.
They all come together and make a girl group like the Spice Girls, and then they each have their own song about what happened and why
I love the premise.
he's a bad guy. It's an incredible, incredible musical that I highly recommend.
Oh my
And
god,
wait, so is
it's
Broadway
funny.
open now again?
So Broadway is open again.
Is there a chance to see a matinee during the MSG run? Does that line
Absolutely.
up?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
they're
was
3
thinking about the
o'clock.
after shows, but like a matinee pre-show, seeing something funny would be like
Wait,
a great
what
way.
days of the week is the 29th through the 1st? Do we
Thursday,
know?
Friday, Saturday.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Or
Wednesday,
Thursday,
Wednesday,
Friday.
No, Sunday's
Thursday,
the
Friday,
second.
Saturday.
Okay, so matinees are usually Wednesday and then either Saturday or Sunday, depending on the show. But
It's funny you
Wednesday
say that.
matinee, go do it.
Because we were actually looking at doing to see the Music Man matinee day before one of the shows, because Hugh Jackman's doing the Music Man right now on Broadway, or going to be
but
doing
it's
it on
not
Broadway.
it's not opening till 2022.
But we were talking, we were trying to get the
Oh.
tickets to go do that one next year for when we go out there for it.
For
I
next
think
year,
it's like-
definitely.
Yeah.
That's
We
a
were
smart
talking about how
move.
fun that would be to do that, do the Music Man, and then catch the Fish show after that. It'd be
That
great.
would be incredible.
Yeah.
That would be
Great
incredible.
way.
Well, I love your love of musicals. I'm a big musical guy too. I
And then
remember
Tony nominee Trey Anastasio.
Yeah,
incredible.
was
On a
it hands on a hard body?
He's on a hard body,
I
and
saw that.
he's now a vocalist.
What
if
did you
don't
think
know.
of it, honestly? Because I've
Honestly,
seen like the
I love
documentary.
it. I'm one of the show's like literally one of a dozen people who still know it exists. I happen to love the documentary Hands on a Hard Body before this even happened, like dating back to the 90s. And then I saw some note that Trey was. I love musical theater. I love Hands on a Hard Body, and I love Trey. So like, what's not to love about that?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was the show's biggest fan.
Is
Probably
there
still
a recorded version or
yeah,
like
yeah, it's up on Spotify.
Really?
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, I need to. I have no idea why I haven't spent more time with that. I mean, I know I've heard a couple songs, but yeah,
I think Fish played 2 songs off it live in like the 2013 range. One of them was like the worst rendition of any song Fish has ever played in their history. It's a great song in the musical called "My Problem" right there.
Yeah.
And when they did it as Fish, it was just horrendous.
Lots of
Terrible,
problems.
Terrible Fish. And I love all Fish. I'm not a hater by any stretch of the imagination. Terrible Fish.
Yes,
Yeah.
no, that happens. Well, my wife's right here. She had to deal with my In the Heights obsession for a while.
Oh.
That was brought on by Space Force, and I remember that was kind of going on around that time. And you going, gotta watch In the Heights, and then we watched it probably 10 times. I subjected everyone in every social media feed.
I made it through once.
Yeah, everyone loved it just as much as I did, Slade. Let me tell you.
Nice.
Not quite as much. Which
No,
is
but it was worth watching once. I don't know about 10 times.
it's got some gorgeous
It's
singing.
not like it's the Beatles documentary or something.
Speaking of
Here
Broadway,
we go.
speaking of Broadway, what do you think Trey has planned for New Year's Eve this year? Because we're back on the East Coast, we're back to Broadway Trey, and he has his access to his dancers and his choreographers and all of
That's
that.
right. By the way, his choreographer was in Hands on a Hard Body, a guy by the name of John Rua.
John
Yeah.
Rua.
Yeah, isn't that where they met?
Yep, he was in Hands on a Hard Body, and then I actually met him backstage at SpongeBob SquarePants the musical, where he played the pirate.
Nice.
Really?
And
The
I-
pirate, like the opening pirate?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I want that job. Come on.
Yeah,
Is he
it
on
was
the
amazing.
actual like Nickelodeon show of that production, or is that
no,
Rua
it
on
was.
that?
I mean, it was Nickelodeon authorized, but
Right.
Yeah,
Well, I know
it
my kids watched it one time because they got it actually like on.
Oh, right.
Like,
They recorded it at a theater in Bournemouth, England.
perfect.
but
That's
it,
incredible, though.
yeah.
John Rua is great. He's a great guy. He always responds on Twitter to stuff and stuff. He's a really cool guy. Great actor and dancer too. Amazing. And
Absolutely.
I'm not letting Slade escape the question, though. I want to hear
Oh,
what
yeah,
he thinks Trey has
So-
planned.
Yeah, so my answer is such a cop out. I never guess what Fish is going to do anymore. I just don't. I'm always wrong. I've never been
It's
right.
the right answer, though.
The more-
It
the
is
more
a cop
you-
out, but it's
the
also
more
the
you
right
think
answer.
You know this band, the less you know. I think that this New Year's Eve, they are going to, I don't know.
Stay on the stage. I don't think they're going
Right.
to get elevated.
That's what I was gonna say. I mean, this is the first time after the disaster. I mean, it wasn't a disaster. It could have been a lot worse. Things have happened. And honestly, it looked precarious for sure. And thankfully it didn't, end up worse. But yeah, it's the first one back from that. So,
Well,
do they,
Halloween.
It's
Maybe
still,
they should do-
it's still the background on my phone.
nice.
That
Maybe they
was
should do
my
something-
angle. I watched that from the Chase Bridge, right in line with Trey, eye level, page side, and I could see every little like twitch in his eye and like mouth movement, like live on his face while he was up there, and it was the most like gut wrenching, terrifying experience because he kept like shaking, and you could see the terror, and like it was actually a fairly dope set, right? Like they played a lot of good shit and it sounded good for the instrumentation, but I did not enjoy any of it because my heart was in my stomach the whole time.
He was thinking, so this is how it ends. This is
Right.
Well, I think
That's how
we
he
should
want to
do
go, though.
something
I mean, I don't want to
very
speak for him.
simple though. Something that doesn't rely on a lot of production, because even after Vegas Halloween with the light breaking and having to
I
sit up there for the whole time,
Maybe
they're kind
they
of
could-
0 for 2 right now with the last 2 productions like that have been big with things like going off without a hitch. So it's kind of like just play it safe, just stay on the
I
ground.
could see
just
them
do
going the
something-
sentimental, like authentic route, like really connecting with the fans, maybe tying an epitaph or something, like
I want
something
him to bring out
like
live animals like Siegfried.
Oh, yeah,
and
that'll
Roy,
end good.
have
Yeah.
tigers and shit.
That one,
Yeah.
that,
Yeah,
went great,
man.
that went great for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can center it around Tube, and they can have
there's
tigers.
no way
and make
they're
his
gonna have
face a really
captive
bad-
animals in the fish scene. All the girls up front would be all like, what?
Right.
There's no
it's a
way that would go.
Terrible idea. Terrible idea. I honestly
You're like
think
stuck
Pyro.
in the 50s, man.
I think Pyro was a horror in Vegas. When I saw him shooting off Pyro in Vegas, I was like, oh man, are we sure we're going
And they
Pyro now?
turned off the AC to do that shit. It was so hot in there. Oh my god.
Yeah,
It's
I
so
know. They have a circulation
dangerous.
problem. That's the other thing, is make sure whatever they do has plenty of circulation blowing through
You
that
can leave
arena.
the
Like,
AC
that's the other
on.
thing. Like, let's just make sure there's plenty of air and space going on there
Yeah.
for sure.
But that is the question, right? Like, does it touch on Sci-Fi Soldier? Does it kind of go back to send in the clones and back to kind of the gag that didn't work?
It's a trilogy. It's
Or
their
is
own-
Actually, I could see them reaffirming the MSG history because they kind of tied in all the MGM history in Vegas, right? Like with Kazat Vox and tying it to Game Engine and everything. But like, what's the guy? The pan flute guy, and
Oh, yeah.
and the
Zamfir.
samples.
Here.
Yeah,
Zamfir, right?
Zamfir and the samples that start at MSG. There's a lot of lore, and then with the Baker's Dozen, there's a lot of lore there that hasn't been tied to the greater Fish universe.
How many times have they played at MSG, Tim?
64, actually.
Wow.
And when I realized that, I had to make a bracket because on December 28th, it'll be over. I won't have the opportunity to have a perfect 64 match
Incredible.
bracket.
Wait, when are you dropping that?
I was going to do it tonight, but I got a little work emergency. So I think tomorrow.
All right. Awesome.
I haven't finished designing it, but I should have it by probably tomorrow.
But that's
I
how
think
things
I've
work.
seen.
You have to
I think
announce
I've
it.
seen. I think I've seen exactly half. I think I've seen 32 MSJ.
Wow.
Nice.
I'm right
Holy
up there
cow.
with you.
I've
Probably
seen zero.
28.
You've never seen a show at MSJ?
I've seen The Dead there in 91, but I've never seen Fish there.
Was that the Marsalis shows?
No, I saw the night they did Uncle John's Comes a Time into Drums, and then the night after that. I can't remember
Nice.
what. I mean, it was 91. It was falling apart, but it was The Dead in Madison Square Garden. So
I'm
Yeah,
so
don't-
excited for this year's New Year's Eve, though. I've gone to several of them, but I think this year, with how they've been on an upward trajectory, all of 4.0, like they came out hot in summer tour. They they took it to another level in the fall tour. And if they keep that trajectory, now returning home after all this time and the emotions, like Rescue Squad was the last moment before the pandemic. I know they had Mexico, but that's like the outsiders, right?
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
1%. And I love you. I'm not judging you, but if we're being honest, like we're not going to fucking Fish Mexico, right? So
It's
like
like
with
vacation
Rescue Squad,
fish.
it's a very big moment to come back to MSG after all this time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm super excited. I mean, like I said, I've seen 30 something shows there. It's just home. It's like it's genuinely like I'm also a Rangers fan and a Knicks fan and all this stuff. So like each MSG is my temple. It is my safe space in left wing parlance. It's just like I love it there, and to see my favorite thing in the world in one of my favorite places in the world, like it's just every moment, every note. Like, and in fact, the last thing I saw there was the 1230 tweezer, the 123019 tweazer is
Phenomenal
like
tweezer.
that was my last MSG show. That's what I have in my head because I didn't go to New Year's the next night. So like I'll come back to that freaking 40-minute tweezer into the Poppin' Sucks chant, in my head the next time I step through
That
that
night is pretty high up in the seeds. I'm curious what your final four would be.
Ooh,
Actually,
I know
I'll
the
tell
winner.
you what the top four seeds are based on the system we use, but I want to know what your final four is first.
So that would be all 64 shows, not necessarily the ones I've seen.
Yeah,
Right.
correct.
I think 1231.95 has to be the winner, no?
That's the winner. Yeah, that's gonna win.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that is the overall one seed.
That's the overall one seed.
Yeah.
I'm also really partial to 1229.98, which is under the radar. I wonder what seed is that, like a 12 seed?
Well, out of the total 1 to 64, like the ranking, it actually came in at 18. So that's
okay. So it's a
that's
four.
pretty
it's
well
a four.
represented, I think.
All right, good. So
Like, that's respectable.
that's my dark
seed.
horse. I am a huge fan of 1229.98. I'm also a big fan of 1231.98, which is the 1999 opener, but I don't know where that would be in your seeds.
Oh, I don't even think I could find that one off the.
Wow. Is the comeback show, the O2 comeback show, well ranked or not well ranked?
That is like right in the middle. It's around.
What's
like
the highest
33.
Baker's dozen show?
So that's the interesting thing. 725, based on, and I kind of set up like an algorithm, right? I've tried to keep it as objective as I could, and based on that, 725 from the Baker's dozen. Wait, that's Jamfilled, right?
That's Jamfilled, yeah.
Jamfilled came in at number 3.
I think that's right. I think 1231.95 and 725.17 are the finals for me.
Yeah, and the one that slips in between in the way our rankings work is 1230.97.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but you know what?
Absolutely.
I'm excited for this bracket because like I try different ideas and sometimes they hit and sometimes they don't. But the excitement and the conversation I'm seeing already, just from like mentioning it, I think we're gonna have some really cool matchups. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna try to go and listen to the highlights of all these sets.
Well,
You
the best part about it for you is that no matter what an algorithm says, you're going to have three things at play. You're going to have a recency bias, so things that happen, that are fresher in people's heads.
Yeah.
Then you're going to have the opposite of that, which is like old school bias, which is
Nostalgia, right?
Yeah.
overcorrect on the recency bias and be like, you kids don't know shit. 95 was the best.
Often called jaded vetitis.
Jaded, yeah, exactly. Jaded.
And I got that all the time.
Yeah, and then you're going to have the strongest of the three, which is the name of a podcast, which I really like, which is attendance bias, which is, I was there, I saw this, I've seen 12 shows, for at the New Year's runs, and these are, or at MSG, and these are my favorite 12. And
shout out to attendance bias, by the way. If you haven't gone and checked it out, go check it out. You got
Tim was on there.
So
I
Wody
think
was on
Sam
there.
was on there, huh?
and Slade was as well.
Yeah, I did Nassau Coliseum, not quite MSG. I did MSG's little stepbrother.
I've
Nassau
never seen
Coliseum.
Fish. I'm going to see him the first time on the 29th.
He's full of shit, but we're not flexing though. I put that off the channel.
No flexing. No
No
flexing.
flexing.
That's
I
right.
hope we run into each other though at MSG. We probably have.
Are you,
I mean,
are
I
you
haven't
going
seen
the whole
quite as many.
run,
but-
or are you doing the whole
No,
run?
I'm going to the 29th and 30th. So my partner's really not into Fish. I've gotten him to 4 shows, but not something that's high on his list. So
Yeah.
I don't make him. I don't drag it. He was at Jamfield though, which is incredible.
Sandfield.
And
Right.
that's why he
One
does
and a
not
fourth.
want to go anymore. He's like, what the fuck?
Right.
They played Lawn Boy
He
for
was earnestly asking, "Is this still Lawn Boy?"
That's a good batting average though. 25% of his shows were jam filled. Like,
yeah,
that's a great
Totally.
statistic.
yeah. The other he also went to Holmdel in whatever year that was, like 2013 or so. And we took my mom, so it was like the start of a great joke. It was like 2 gay guys and a Jewish woman walk into a Fish show, But like my mom, who's like a very normal woman and like has probably not smoked pot since the 70s and whatever. Some wook like handed her a joint in the middle of the set, and I was like, no. Like, I'm not taking care of this like 65-year-old Jewish woman who's like stoned for the first time in 40 years. That's not happening. And like, I had to make sure I shut that shit down real fast.
you didn't run her?
Yeah, but anyway, so I don't go to New Year's since we've been together since 2008. So the last New Year's show I saw was Miami 2003.
With the Mini Cooper.
What's that?
With the Mini Cooper and the marching band.
Yeah.
That's
That was the P Funk 30th show. That run was pretty fun. But so I try and do either 2 or 3 shows for the holiday run and then skip New Year's, and we fall asleep.
That's very
Yeah.
dope of you.
We fall asleep.
That's
at
very
10:30
generous.
PM anyway.
This
so
will be
it's
the
fine.
first year I didn't spend New Year's with one of my kids in 17 years. So
Oh wow! Are you
Yeah.
guys all going? Are you going to the shows?
yeah, I'm going to all 4.
Nice.
Me, Kev, and T Strong down there are going to these.
Awesome.
Yeah, I wonder with the partner thing, what's better, having a partner that's equally into Fish or having a partner that's not? Because having the anchor outside of the world, I can imagine is pretty healthy, right?
Yeah. It's
Like,
same
and
thing
the
as,
other
like-
thing is like my wife and I are like equal on like the spectrum of cultism with Fish. But the problem is that we have to pay twice as much for every fucking show.
That's
Right? 'Cause
exactly
we're
right.
like, I'm not going to a show without her. It's rare.
Yeah.
So
And also, when you go and travel for Fish, like you're with your wife.
right. Honestly though, and I'm not just saying this, like she is my favorite show partner. And
that's great.
My
I
crew
was
has
totally
expanded
kidding. That
this
is
year.
awesome.
I've met a lot of new people on tour for this summer and everything. But still, through it all, it's my brother and my wife. That's like my crew when it really comes down to it.
That's family.
Family.
I love that.
It's all
Yeah.
about family.
Well, and it goes back to the Key and Pill clip that's been going around again. That where it goes like when dudes get into fish, they don't come back.
They don't come back.
And I mean there's a lot. I mean everything that's that funny is a little bit of truth, right? And that's a lot of truth to that. And so I appreciate my wife who's sitting right here. I'm not, just saying that because she's right here.
She's sitting right there.
But it takes a level of patience for folks like Sam and for Deanna and for folks who aren't so obsessed with the band to understand it and to give that space, but also it's important for us folks to go, like, okay, New Year's it can't be a fish day. It needs to be us, and so like, I know, it's an important balance. It's not easy.
I mean, look, Sam's also awesome in the way that every single New Year's he's been like, go to fucking fish. I don't care. Like, but I just genuinely don't want to. And like,
you want to be with your partner, and it's a respect thing, and it's healthy to like shit outside of fish. I mean, that's sad. That is my favorite thing, but it's healthy to like other things too.
Like goose. Oh no.
Yes.
Totally different. Like 100%. But then that's the beauty of again, and I think that's what makes the recount so amazing. What makes everything you're involved in amazing is that you do have a level of energy and love and for so many things and like again, it was just so fun to hear you guys talk about a million different topics, and it just kind of pop and pop and pop. And, honestly, again, you can probably feel that in here, that it's a lot like that, and so I was like, man, this is home because it feels like what we did, and so we appreciate you being here with us, because my God.
I mean, look, places like this, since the dawn of time, every group of friends has sat around and said, someone should film us. We're a TV show. We're a movie. Since the dawn of time, like, and every step along the way, in your dorm room, in your post-college years, whatever that is.
And now we have the technology.
And now we have the technology to do it. So, like, just do it. I have a friend who does a podcast, and he said, "Why don't you have a podcast?" And I said, "Well, too many people have a podcast, and I don't."
A lot of people have a podcast,
and I don't feel like my voice should be out there. But you do you. And his philosophy was the opposite, which is like, I don't know shit about my grandparents. I don't know what my parents did in the 70s. Like, I don't know this. This thing right here, this that I'm saying right now, someone can watch. Your kids can watch. Your
people are watching it right now too.
Your future wife can watch. Your second wife,
your future ex-wife.
Exactly. Like all these things. Just go out there and do it and put it down. And if it doesn't break through, then who cares? And if you become the most famous person in the world, well, that's a curse on you too.
Yeah.
Whatever happens.
Run.
Talk to your friends, make it public. Who cares? That's the lives we're living right now. We're at the end of the world. You got to enjoy it.
It's the end of the world.
Yeah, let's do some REM. We've got a lot of REM fans around here that love that for sure. Well, we got to hit him up with that Survivor question since it's such a
so I wanted to jump to that actually. We extended the invitation for Slade to join us in the green room, and the response was, "I wish I could, but I'm watching Survivor." And I was instantly knew what I wanted to ask you was, who out of the band, and Llama kind of stole my thunder. Thanks, Llama. Appreciate it.
Llama.
You're welcome.
But who out of the band would last the longest on there? I'm assuming that's how Survivor works.
Yeah.
Okay.
So someone it starts with anywhere between 18 and 20 people, and then you get voted off until the end. The answer to that, which is kind of lazy, I don't know, it's not great, but it's Trey. It's 100% Trey.
Really? I would say Fishman.
You know what?
He's like wild man.
So Fishman would make it like 6 great weeks, and then like he just wouldn't have that extra gear that like Trey's head is like always spinning and his mind is always at work and he's always doing something. Fishman would end up just like chilling on the beach, after like 6 weeks. Everyone would love him, but I think he's like one note kind of players, which I kind of view Fishman as, not as a negative. But like, I feel like he would be.
I was going to say how fun this interview was and how much I like talking to you, Slade. And then you got to go and call Fishman a one note guy.
He's a one note guy.
Well, as a persona, right? As a persona, right? If you're playing, I had to
persona.
Right, exactly. Like Trey has so many levels, like, and there's so much going on, and right, like,
You know what it is? This is the Ringo syndrome. It is the exact same thing. Everybody's like, "Oh, Ringo's not shit," but if he was like in another band, he'd be a fucking. It's because the shade from Lennon and Paul and even George, and it's the same thing. Fish is probably one of the best drummers out there right now in the rock scene, but
Definitely.
in the context of Trey, I mean, that's not fair. Like, Trey's a
No,
fucking
I just
genius.
think Trey is just a strategist in the way that you need to be on the like. So the only way you win Survivor,
I forgot we were talking about Survivor. That just got. I'm sorry.
He's
Right.
like-
You got to
he's
play
to
the
be
game.
like the
It's not just about
3D
yeah.
You got to play 3D chess on Survivor,
Right.
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 And I think that all of them are incredibly smart, funny, talented, charming guys. But Trey, to me, is the one who's just like always moving, always going, always making those kind of relationships. You know, if like Jeff Tansky was some new guy on the island, he brings him in all of a sudden. Trey's always kind of like doing that. Like,
Well, the flip
Paige
side of
gets
that-
mad. Paige tries to vote Jeff off.
Who's the first
Yeah.
one to get eliminated? Do you think then? Who's the first one off the island out of all of them?
Paige.
uh,
I want a sandwich.
that's a good question. They all would actually be voted off early because of their age, first and foremost.
Yeah, they won't make
there's
it.
a
They
bit of
would
an
be
ageism
first,
on
second, third, and
Survivor.
fourth.
Yeah, there's an ageism on Survivor that like
Maybe
gotta
we need
be-
to put Goose on
Do
Survivor.
we want to
then.
keep down the Survivor path, or can I try a different game?
go. I'm
Go.
done with Survivor.
Oh shit! I just forgot what the game was. God damn it!
Oh man.
Yup,
Ah.
yup. That's what you call dead air.
Oh no, it's all right. I had
But
that
no-
big setup.
We'll edit that out in post.
yeah. But you know, Survivor to me, that's the piece, right? Like I look at kind of Fish as a survivor in the music industry, right? In some ways, like and that's Trey, and I think
Well
all the other band members,
Got it.
yes,
Fish has the Beatles, so we've established that Fishman suffers from the Ringo syndrome. And when you're describing Trey, it sounds like Paul to me, right? Like the guy that's always thinking on the next step and stuff. Because a lot of people might say John was the Trey, or even George was the Trey for like musical reasons or influential reasons. But I think it's really Paul. What do you think I'm on to something there? Or
I think if you think real hard about it for a week or so, get back to us.
That's right.
No, I think the difference is that John and Paul, to me, were like such equals from such a young age, whereas like, it's like I always said that like Fish goes as Trey goes. I don't know necessarily whether that's true or not. It's just kind of a perception. And I
think they would say that though. I
Yeah,
feel like they
sure.
would sincerely go,
Yeah.
think that was
So,
the case.
And I think that Paul and John are such equals that in a four-person band, like when two people kind of have this,
I don't know. I feel like
codependency,
Paul.
it's just tough
I
to
used to
match up.
feel that until I watched Get Back. Well, at least 2/3 of it, and I don't know. It blew my mind. It was like
Paul
It's
is
more
the one in charge.
lopsided.
No, Paul ran that show. Paul was
that's
Paul
what
was
it
the one who
seems like.
was
At least at that
looking at-
point,
Right, but that was
their
that was
manager had
1969.
died.
That was 1969.
Right.
Rewind the clock 10 years.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
all snapshots.
He was keeping it together
Yeah.
at that time. Like he was just trying to
Right.
keep the create like everybody still
Right.
flowing together and everything.
You'll never
Yoko
guess.
was sitting next to him in that dock.
Yeah, he was
like,
already
John's,
off on Yoko Land.
John's in a
And-
very
and
different
honestly,
place. in
like-
1969.
Not to make it too dark, but it is a level of like it's kind of their 2.0 that they never recovered from, right? Like,
Yeah.
does that make
Yeah.
sense? Like,
Yeah.
Does that make Wings 3.0?
no, actually,
No.
no, I'm joking. That's perfect. But
I like
no,
Wings.
I know,
like
I love
3.0.
Wings.
I'm a
They're my
Wings fan, by the
favorite.
way.
Yeah, I like
Wings.
both of those things.
Yeah.
but I just think like because what you see with
Blue
happening with
cheese or
John,
ranch?
because John is
Oh.
going, John. What do you think?
I'm gonna have to go order wings
Blue
now.
cheese.
Thanks,
Blue
Lava.
cheese. That would be blue cheese.
It would be
Blue
blue
cheese.
cheese.
I'm hitting the wing stop on the way home.
We cover so many topics here on Wook+. It's just like,
right.
if you want to know if Slade prefers blue cheese or ranch,
It's
Which
blue
is
cheese.
So do you?
Yeah,
do
it's blue
you?
cheese.
Are you based in New York?
I am. I've lived in New York City for 20 years. I grew up on Long Island in the burbs, and then I moved into New York City in August 2001.
Wow.
Oh,
First-
wow.
First day of
Oh,
work.
holy shit!
First day of work was September 10th, 2001.
Holy
Wow.
shit! That's
Yeah.
crazy time to move to New York.
Crazy time to move to New York City. My
Wow.
second day of work on Wall Street, so 0.3 of a mile away from the World Trade Center, was September 11th.
That's fucking nuts.
Crazy
Wow.
time.
Wow.
Crazy time. I tell the story like as a history thing. There's like no emotion attached anymore 20 years later. But like, what an incredible time to just like
Somebody should write a song about that.
totally. And it fucked me up like for a while. The subway was, very claustrophobic. The thing that brought me back was I went to Game 5 of the 2001 World Series where Brocious tied it up in the
I
ninth.
was there. I was
Yeah.
at that game.
Were you? I was at that game too.
I was at
Oh.
that game.
Nice. And because of that, like it brought some kind of like joy back to the city. And
Yeah.
and I was like kind of cured after that. Like I was like, all right, I'm fine. It was
Wow.
See,
weird.
people hate on sports a lot, but sports has a lot more meanings
No.
than just the game.
That's right.
Although my
Transcend.
band director told me, because that's how young I am. I was still in a band with the director. But when that happened, all the sporting events canceled and all the music and art events got scheduled. And that's the difference. And it doesn't put sports down. It's super important to society and there's a lot of value in it. But it's not apples and apples, right? Like there's a deeper emotional connection, I think, with art that I don't know that you can get in the other side of that spectrum. But they're both important.
Yeah, here's how I would counter to that would be sports is kind of the reality TV version of as like art is to television or whatever. Sports is kind of the reality version of that. Like it is truly you never know what's going to happen. It's
Your team loses. It's not a happy ending, right? Like, yeah,
it's the ultimate.
exactly.
It's the ultimate unscripted. So if you're not a
Right.
Kim Kardashian fan, if you're not a Survivor fan, whatever. Like sports can
Watch
be
wrestling.
that reality for you, that reality competition.
Right. Unscripted. It's unscripted. It's actually like real unscripted action. You don't know what you're going to get out of it.
And
A
I
lot of
think
times.
it happened. I think
Is it really though?
after
Except for the
hitting-
refs.
It is by far. Yes, it is.
I just
Definitely.
suck at figuring it out when I got rid of cable. Like I switched to like the basic streaming stuff, and it was like
Right.
hard to find to watch the games. When you have like the cable channels or like the NFL package or whatever,
Yeah.
it was easy. Like honestly, that's when I fell out of sports because I used to be like a diehard hockey fan and football fan at least, right? And a little bit of baseball. But then when I switched to just like Netflix and Disney Plus or whatever, it's like, how the fuck do you watch a
Do you have
game
an
anymore?
antenna on your TV? You should be able to watch.
No,
local
man, I don't have
games.
an antenna on my TV.
I bought one for $12, and I get all the. I get to watch
I've
all
seen
the
your
football
antenna,
games.
man. It's awesome.
A couple of tinfoil wires sticking up out of the back of his house. And
I used one of the poles from the green screen that I
Hey.
no longer needed and hooked it to that,
I
so I
thought
can
you
like
just
walk
bootleg your
around.
neighbor's cable, Kev. I thought you were hooked up to the neighbor's cable. Is what you were doing.
Is that still a thing? Can you still do that?
I
Kev
don't
would
think
be
you can
stealing
anymore.
cable somehow.
I think you have to have the box.
Oh,
Yeah,
Now it's
translate
all
the
about the
single-
box and the
yeah,
internet.
it's always the box
Because
again.
it
Listen,
didn't used to be a digital box; it was all analog circuits. in
Guys,
there,
we
so,
went from
you know.
Angela Lansbury to stealing cable. This has been a great, terrific show, but I do need to pull us in.
That's
and
how the
close this
murder
out.
gets happened. Somebody gets murdered stealing cable.
If you haven't yet, go ahead, Wooks, subscribe, like this video.
Smash!
I
that
know
shit.
you all want to like it, but you're all, like us. You
And
forget
we got
shit.
merch. Christmas is coming. We have merch over on the website.
Right.
Yeah,
Get your
go check
Secret
it out.
Junta gifts from our merch stand. That's right. Go check
Got
us out.
dope beanies.
/merch.
All right. Slade, thank you so much, man.
Thanks for
It is
having
Slade,
me. You guys are
awesome.
great. I
You have
I
appreciate
anything
it.
kind of
you
feel
wanna
like we
plug?
need to do this again, but get to the fish conversation in the first 2 minutes rather than the first 20 minutes. But you'll see. I really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Hopefully we'll
Hang
see
out
you
for a
on
sec
the New
once
Year's
we-
shows.
All right.
Definitely.
All right, let's see you guys.
I'm Kevin Hogan, and I'm auditioning for the part of Ron McKernan, otherwise known as Pigpen. All right, let's take it from the top. Wait a minute. Now I'm here to tell y'all something. All you men folks standing out there, get your hands out your pockets and quit playing that pocket pool. And I want to tell you what you all want to do. You just walk on over and you say, "Hey babe, what's your name? Let's..." And if she ain't into it, you walk away.